Here's my top rated books of 2025. First up, we have Project Hail Mary. I didn't really have much knowledge of this book before I read it. I know it's got quite a cult following online and it's very popular on TikTok, but I didn't really have much prior understanding of what this book was about, apart from the cover and that it included space. I was literally hooked from the very first page. What I really loved, the storyline obviously feels really far-fetched and very out there, but it is rooted in such deep human emotion that it adds a sense of realism to it. It kind of made it a little bit more believable. I'm so excited for the film adaptation of this to come out next year, and it's got Ryan Gosling on it. Thank you. Next up we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. There's kind of a space theme going on this year and I've just realised that. I absolutely love this book. I kind of saw online that it wasn't as highly rated as other Taylor Jenkins Reid books, but use this as your reason to ignore the reviews. Do not let reviews dictate what you do and don't read, because I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I love that it explored LGBTQ issues. Obviously it has more of a historical context as well. Women in STEM. I fell in love with the main character. The story moved quickly, but I still felt like there was a depthness to the characters. I cried at this book, which I never, ever do. Next up we have two books of the same series by Pat Barker. We have The Silence of the Girls and The Women of Troy. This is the retelling of the Trojan War, but from the viewpoint of the women. There is a lot of discourse online about these books, that they feature male perspectives and male influence way too much for a retelling from a women's perspective. However, I would like to caveat that obviously during this time, this mythological time, but even back in history, a lot of women's fates were completely intertwined with the men around them. So of course, the emotions and the storyline of the men around them are going to be completely intertwined with their own fate. Highly recommend these books. If you're going to read 2 out of 3, you might as well read 3 for 3. And finally, we have Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin. I read Tomorrow, and I absolutely loved that book, so I had to read this book by her as well. I dealt with a lot of grief this year, so I was quite apprehensive about picking this up and reading it. However, I'm so glad I did. In this book, a teenager has died, and it tells you about the story, what happens after she dies, and she goes to this place called Elsewhere. And the whole idea is that you go to Elsewhere and you age backwards until you're essentially born again. It obviously tells the story of how she doesn't want to age backwards. She wants to be 16, she wants to learn to drive and fall in love and do all those things that you would experience in life. And it's a beautifully written book. I would still say Tomorrow is my favourite out of the two, but this one, I really needed it at this time, and I felt like although the story wasn't as strong, I felt like the characters and how it made me feel after I read it bumped it up into some of my top read this year. I definitely want to read more in 2026, and I want to dabble into a little bit of non-fiction, so I would absolutely love your recommended reading in the comments and I'll make sure to check them out.